Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Autumn Tales for the Family. Thanks for joining us this evening. My name is Mark Livengood, Director of the Story Center at Mid-Continent Public Library. Tonight's program is the second in a series of three storytelling programs intended to mark the season. The next program will be on Tuesday, October 27th at 6:30 p.m. right here on Facebook Live. All programs are funded in part by the Ewing Marion Kaufman Foundation. Tonight's storyteller is Rosie Best-Cutrer, who is joining us from Topeka, Kansas. Rosie's been telling stories professionally for the last 15 years, and she's told stories at the Cape Girardeau Storytelling Festival, the Downs Storytelling Festival, and at Homestead National Monument in Beatrice, Nebraska. Prior to telling stories full time, she was an elementary school teacher for 23 years. Rosie will also be teaching the performance showcase and masterclass for the Story Center this Thursday night, October 8th at 6:30 p.m. And you're welcome to join us for that. More information is available at the Story Center website. And so without further ado, welcome, Rosie. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Mark. So glad that people could come this evening and listen to some autumn stories. I'm going to tell you some story or a story to start off with about the moon. But before I tell the story, I want to share with you a few facts about the moon that I've just learned. Now, when I think of autumn, I think of a big full moon, a harvest moon when, before we had electricity, farmers could bring in their crops by the light of that full moon late at night. And then, of course, the Halloween moon with the bats and the witches flying across. And, I'd always thought that there was a full moon on Halloween, but there isn't. In fact, the last time we had a full moon on Halloween was 19 years ago. But this year, we will have a full moon on Halloween on October the 31st. On top of that, that full moon is also going to be a blue moon. Now, a blue moon, that's a second full moon that appears within the same month period. We had a full moon on October 1st, and we're going to have a full moon October 31st. That only happens every 3 years or so. And that's why people say, well, that only happens once in a blue moon, doesn't it? Blue moon, Halloween moon. Now, as if 2020 weren't weird enough, we have another thing going on. This will be the first time in 76 years that the whole world will be able to see a full moon on October the 31st. Last time that happened was 1944. Yep, 2020 is a year we're never going to forget, is it? Anyway, without further ado, I'd like to get into this first story. It's a Native American story from the Kalispel people, a native tribe from Idaho. And it goes like this. Once, long, long ago, there was no moon up in the sky. Now, there had been a moon, but somebody stole it. I don't know who. Anyway, there was no moon, and the people and the animals on the earth were not happy. Night after night, it was pitch black. People, they were always running into each other. The animals were running into each other. No one could go hunting. And the worst of all was there was no full moon ever to look up in the sky and stare at in wonder. So the people, they decided to have a meeting to discuss the matter. They gathered all the animals and people together and they said, we need a moon. We need somebody to be the moon. Who? Who could be the moon? Yep, I'll be the moon. It was Yellow Fox. I'd make a lovely moon, said Yellow Fox. My fur is so light and fluffy, and I'd look pretty up there in the sky. Everybody's staring at me. Oh, I would love to be up in the sky and be the moon. Could I be the moon? Yep, please. So, Yellow Fox was put up in the sky as the moon. But Yellow Fox was pretty, but she was a little too bright. I mean, she was so bright, the earth would never cool down at night. She was so bright, nobody could sleep. She was so bright, there was no hunting going on. The prey could always see the hunter coming. And worst of all, she was so bright, you had to squint to look at her. You couldn't stare at a full moon like that and wonder. And so Yellow Fox was taken down out of the sky. And then the people went to Coyote and they said, Coyote, would you like to be the moon? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, I'd like to be the moon, said Coyote. I could be up in the sky and I could see everything going on down on the earth. I would like to be the moon. Could I be the moon? Oh, I'd like to be the moon, please. Oh. And so Coyote was put up in the sky as the moon. Coyote, he made a pretty good moon. He didn't shine so bright so the earth would not be able to cool down at night. He shone just enough light so people could sleep at night, just enough light so hunting could still happen. And best of all, he was just the right shade of light that people could still stare up at the moon and wonder. But after a few days, Coyote began to notice all the things going on in the earth, all the things that people were doing that they shouldn't be. He was noticing all the people that like to do things in the dark. And Coyote, being Coyote, well, he couldn't help but announce to the whole world what was going on. Mister, you stop stealing those tomatoes from your neighbor's garden. Lady. Woo, lady. Woo. Change that baby's diaper. Little boy, you didn't take a bath like you told your mama you did. Oh, little girl, stop picking your nose. The people who like to do things in the dark didn't like Coyote up in the sky. And they said, take Coyote down, he's too loud. And so Coyote was taken down out of the sky. Somebody else became the moon. Now that Coyote was down, he couldn't see everything going on in the earth, but that didn't stop him. Nope, that didn't stop him from snooping around, putting his nose in everybody's business, and then announcing it to the world what was going on. And to this day, Coyote and his descendants, they're all out there. And sometimes on a fall night, if you're out in the country, you'll hear all those coyotes complaining about things going wrong in the world. It's how Coyote was the moon. Now, I can't hear you clapping out there, but I'm sure you're clapping. I really appreciate it. I know you're doing a good job. And so that's why I'm thanking you for doing all, or for being here this evening. Really do appreciate it. Now, I'm going to tell you a story from Ireland. It's an Irish folk tale. And I'm going to get my banjo to help me tell the story. Now, this is a 5-string banjo. It's called that because it has 5 strings. And this is a story called Stingy Jack. And I've added a little chorus to it that goes like this. And it's no, nay, never. No, nay, never, no more. Will he ever find rest? No, nay, never, no more. So when that chorus comes around, feel free to join in. There once was a blacksmith. Stingy Jack was his name. Not very nice was the name of his game, and it's no, nay, never. No, nay, never, no more. Will he ever find rest? No, nay, never, no more. He'd like to play tricks. He'd cheat all his neighbors. He'd cause them pain. Deceitful, deceitful, deceitful was his name, and it's no, nay, never. No, nay, never, no more. Will he ever find rest? No, nay, never, no more. He'd lie to his mother. You don't lie to your mother. He'd lie to his wife. Ooh, that's even worse. His lying caused hardship and strife. And it's no, nay, never. No, nay, never, no more will he ever find rest. No, nay, never, no more. He liked to kick dogs. Oh. He liked to kick cats. He liked to kick anything that couldn't kick back. And it's no, nay, never. No, nay, never, no more will he ever find rest. No, nay, never, no more. One day he was walking, and who should he see but the devil himself sitting neath a shade tree? And it's no, nay, never. No, nay, never, no more will he ever find rest. No, nay, never, no more. The devil looked up, and he said with a grin, "Good day to you, Jack, I'm taking you in." And it's no, nay, never. No, nay, never, no more will he ever find rest. No, nay, never, no more. Yes, the devil himself was sitting underneath that shade tree, and Jack, he's walking along, and he sees him, and he knows who he is right away. It takes one to know one, if you know what I mean. Well, Jack walks right up to the devil and says, "Good day to you, devil. I see you're here to take me back to your place. No, I won't fight you. I won't fight you. But you know, I think it's a long, hot trip to your place, and I'm thirsty. I'm very thirsty. There's a tavern just a little ways down the road. How about we stop and get a little drink for the road?" And the devil liked that idea. "Oh yeah, I like that idea. Do they serve hot toddies there?" "Oh yeah, I'm sure they'd serve you a hot toddy if you really wanted one." Well, let's go. Jack and the devil went to the tavern. Now, Jack, he had no intention of going with the devil. He was going to trick the devil, and this is what he did. He said to the devil, "Devil, I hear tell you could turn yourself into anything you want. Uh, why don't we trick the tavern keeper this way? You turn yourself into a silver coin. I'll take you in and I'll pay for the drinks with the coin, and I'll get the drinks out. And then after you're put in the cash box, you turn yourself back into yourself and sneak out of there. Pretty good trip, you think?" "Huh, yeah, I like that, Jack. That's a good idea." And so the devil turns himself into that silver coin. But again, like I said, Jack, he lied to the devil, and he took that silver coin, and instead of going into the tavern, he took out of his pocket a little coin purse, a little pocketbook he had. He opens it, puts the coin in that little coin purse, and snaps it shut. In that coin purse, he has a silver cross. Now, you know the devil's powerless against that silver cross, and he cannot escape out of that little coin purse. And he's making up such a fuss. "Let me out of here! Let me out! Let me out! Let me out! Let me out! Jack, he's laughing. He puts that little coin purse in his pocket and just carries it around, carries the devil in his pocket for several days. But eventually he gets tired of hearing that devil complaining. "Let me out! Let me out! Let me out!" And so he finally says to the coin purse, "All right, I'll let you out of there, but you need to make me a promise. If I let you out, you got to promise to leave me alone for next 10 years or so. What do you say?" Devil was agreeable to that. Jack opened the purse and devil disappears. 10 years pass, and there's the devil sitting under that shade tree again, and there's Jack walking down the road. And Jack walks up to the devil and says, "Oh, 10 years passed real quick, didn't they? Well, I know. My jig's up. It's time to go. But did you notice these apples up in this tree you're sitting under? Oh, this time of year, those apples are full and ripe and juicy. I know. I've stolen several of them at different times. Uh, how about we take some with us on the trip? We could have an apple snack on the way. And when we get to your place, we could have some baked apples. What do you think?" "Yeah, Jack, that's a good idea." Devils, they're not as smart as you think they are. Without even thinking, that devil, he climbed up the tree to get the apples. And Jack, he's laughing because what he's doing, he takes the toe of his boot and he makes a cross in the dirt all the way around the trunk of that tree. Well, the devil, he's up there picking apples and he sees Jack and he's going, "What are you doing with those crosses, Jack? You can't do." The devil is trapped again. Jack's tripped him again and the devil's up in the tree. Let me down out of here. Let me down. Well, says Jack, this time, if I let you down, you have to promise me to leave me alone until the end of time, eternity. You think you could do that? Anything, says the devil. Jack takes his shoe and erases all the crosses. The devil, he's gone. Time passes. Decades pass. Jack is now a very old, feeble man. He can no longer work as a blacksmith. He has no friends, no family. He's driven everybody away he ever knew from his evil actions. He has to beg for food. And at this night, he has gone to a turnip field and he's stealing the turnips. He has a knife and he's carving out the inside of the turnip, eating that turnip, that raw turnip. It's the only food he can find. Well, he just about finishes carving out the inside of that turnip when he drops dead, falls to the ground. His body falls to the ground. His soul flies up to heaven. And there he is at the pearly gates. And the Lord himself is looking at Jack. And the Lord says, Jack, good to see you. Jack's not too sure about this. And he says, good day to you, Lord. Good to see you too, I think. Well, Jack, I love everybody, even old sinners like you. But Jack, we have a rule up here in heaven. I can't let you in unless you're willing to admit everything you've done wrong and ask forgiveness and apologize to all those people down there that you hurt. You think you could do that, Jack? I didn't do anything that bad. I haven't been that bad. No, I'm not going to apologize to anybody. I don't need to. I don't need to be up here all these hoity-toity saying stuff. I have friends in low places. And the Lord says, Jack, I'm sorry. And he has to shut the door. And Jack, he starts going down. And he gets down to the other place and he knocks on the door. Bump, 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 bump. And the door opens. And there's the Lord of darkness himself. Jack, what are you doing here? Well, you see, I decided I didn't want to be up there. All those nice people. I think I'd fit in much better down here. I've come to live with you. No, sir. No, I've had it with you. No. You cannot come in here. We made a deal. Well, you said you'd never darken my door. But this is different. I'm darkening your door. You can let me in. No, sir. But what am I going to do? Says Jack. It's cold out here and it's dark. I have no place to go. That's not my problem. Jack, what is that you're holding in your hand? Jack looks down and he realizes he's still holding that hollowed out turnip that he'd been eaten from on the earth. It's a hollow turnip. And the devil says, I have an idea. The devil reaches back, grabs a red hot coal and puts it into that hollow turnip. He says, there, Jack. Now you have a little lantern. That'll light your way, won't it? Well, that's all I can do. Goodbye. And the devil shuts the door. Boom. Our Jackie turns and he starts wandering, holding that turnip lantern in his hand. And from that day on, he's known as Jack of the Lantern. Jack-o'-lantern. Now, hundreds of years ago, that jack-o'-lantern was a symbol of a lost soul doomed to wander for eternity. That's a pretty sad story, isn't it? But I'm a storyteller. I can put a twist on the end of this if I wanted to, and I'm going to. I like to imagine maybe Jack's still out there wandering around, and maybe at some point he'll have a change of heart and ask forgiveness. I believe that I believe that hope never dies. And it's no, nay, never. No, nay, never, no more will he ever find rest. Well, we could always hope. Thank you. I'm going to show you something here that goes with that story about the jack-o'-lantern. You know, the Irish did use turnips around Halloween time to scare off spirits. They had the belief that on Halloween, that was when the veil between the living and the dead was the thinnest. And they were afraid that some of their dead relatives might show up on Halloween. They didn't want that happening. So they would make carve a turnip like this. I think you can see that. I carved out this little turnip, hollowed it out. They tried to make a scary face on it. And then they would light it on Halloween. Like I'm going to light this turnip so you can see what it looks like. And they'd hang it outside their door on Halloween to scare off any evil spirits or, scare off the dead coming back. And that's where we got our jack-o'-lanterns in the United States. When the Irish got here in the United States, they saw that they had these big pumpkins growing all over the place. And they were a lot easier to carve than this turnip, believe me. And they made a lot bigger, scarier faces. So that's where we get all of that. I'm going to tell you a little poem here. This is a poem by James Whitcomb Riley, and I bet a lot of you adults know this poem. And it's called Little Orphan Annie, and it goes like this. Little orphan Annie's come to our house to stay, to wash the cups and saucers up and brush the crumbs away, and shoo the chickens off the porch and dust the hearth and sweep and make the fire and bake the bread and earn her board and keep. And all us other children, when the supper things is done, we sit around the kitchen fire and have the mostest fun, a-listening to the witches' tales that Annie tells about, and the goblins will get you if you don't watch out. Well, once there was this little boy who'd never say his prayers. And when he went to bed at night, away upstairs, his mammy heard him holler and his daddy heard him bawl. And when they turned the kivers down, he wasn't there at all. And they seeked him up the rafter room and cubbyhole and press, and they seeked him up the chimbley flue and everywheres, I guess. But all they ever found was this, his pants and roundabout. And the goblins will get you if you don't watch out. Well, once there was this little girl who'd always laugh and grin and make fun of everyone and all her blood and kin. And once when there was company and old folks was there, she mocked him and shocked him and said she didn't care. And just as she clicked her heels and turned to run and hide, there were two great big dark things standing by her side, and they snatched her through the ceiling. For she knows what she's about. And the goblins will get you if you don't watch out. A little orphan Annie says, when the blaze burns blue and the lamp wick sputters and the wind goes, ooh, you'd better mind your parents and teachers fond and dear, and cherish them that loves you, and dry the orphan's tear, and help the poor and needy ones that clusters all about, or the goblins will get you if you don't watch out. Little Orphan Annie by James Whitcomb Riley. Let me tell you a little story that goes with that poem. James Whitcomb Riley had that published in 1885 in the newspapers. And when he wrote the poem, it was about a real person, but her name was Allie, A-L-L-I-E, Allie. It was an orphan girl that had come to stay with his family when he was a child, and she told these spooky stories. And so he wrote this poem about her. He titled it Little Orphaned Allie. But when the newspaper got it, they misread it and they thought it said Annie. So they ended up putting Annie in the paper, and it stuck. So it's called Little Orphan Annie. Poor Allie. She's been lost in the mist of time. I thought that was interesting. Well, we're almost to the end of our time here, and I would like to do a little song. One song here to wind up our program. You know, we have Mid-Continent Public Library is sponsoring this through the Story Center at Woodneath Library over up in North Kansas City. And we are really appreciative of them doing this service for storytellers and story listeners. This is a song I like to sing at libraries, at library programs, because it's about a chicken that goes to the library to check out a book. This story is based on a joke. I'll tell you the little joke. It goes like this. Chicken walks into the library to check out a book, or check out 3 books. Walks up to the librarian and says, book, book, book. The librarian says, oh, an educated chicken. He wants to check out books. She hands him 3 books. Chicken walks out. Brings the books back the next day. Returns them back up to the librarian and says, book, book, book. And the librarian's thinking, whoa, this chicken really is he really reading these books? Well, she hands him the 3 books, and chicken goes out again. Back in the next day, returns the books back up to the librarian. Book, book, book. And the librarian's getting real suspicious now. And she decides she's going to follow that chicken, see what's going on. She hands him the 3 books. She follows him out the door, down the sidewalk, down the road, where the chicken goes to a little park where there's a pond. Chicken goes to the pond, and there's a little frog sitting there. And the chicken hands the 3 books to the frog, and the chicken says, book, book, book. And the frog looks at the 3 books and says, read it, read it, read it. I'm so glad I can't hear the groaning going on out there right now. It's a groaner, yeah. And but librarians love that little poem, that little story. I tried to make a song based on that, but I couldn't quite get it. But I thought the idea of a chicken checking out books in a library was hilarious. So I've come out with this little song called Library Chicken. It goes like this. Librarian sitting at her desk one day, computer clicking, phones ringing away. When she looked up, and much to her surprise, a rooster walked up to her desk, took a bow, and made a request to check out a book on chicken exercise. Well, he's a library chicken, a book, picking books to make his little light shine. He's a library chicken, a book, picking books to keep an open mind. Well, when she got up off the floor, she decided to show that bird to the door, but he said, I left my library card at home. But if you get online, you'll see I've got a card, no overdue fees. I'd like to take some library materials home. Well, he's a library chicken, a book, picking books to make his little light shine. He's a library chicken, a book, picking books to keep an open mind. Well, what's that lady gonna do? He's got a card, nothing's overdue, and so she helps him find some things to read. Down the aisle goes that chicken, little bird feet on the hard floor clicking, picking books to suit his every need. Well, he's a feel free to join in if you want. Well, he's a library chicken, a book, picking books to make his little light shine. He's a library chicken, a book, picking books to keep an open mind. Books so funny and books so scary, books on eggs and aviaries, bugs and worms, and how to vocalize, how to live in close quarters, political books on pecking orders, books on love and chicken, lullabies, how to gain more altitude, how not to get ruffled, not to brood, how to keep your feathers fluffed and looking fine. Books on farms and foul weather, how to roost and stay together. Books so good they'd win a Pulitzer Prize. Well, he's a library chicken, a book picking books to make his little light shine. He's a library chicken, a book picking books to keep an open mind. Picking books to keep an open mind. Thank you for letting me share that little story, joke, and song with you. I hope you enjoyed the program. And I do believe our time is about up. And Mark, did you have anything that we needed to talk about here? You're on mute.
Thank you. Yeah, books definitely open the mind. Thank you so much. We have time for a few questions. If anybody has a few, please type them into the chat. And I had a couple of comments here, Rosie, about your voice range. And I'm wondering if you could talk about, in your storytelling, about the use of different voices and what that helps you accomplish and how you practice and train for that.
Well, I try to picture like a person, like a character or somebody I've seen in a movie or something.
Mm-hmm.
And like in the story about Stingy Jack, his the devil character. I was having trouble coming up with that. I kept coming up with old lady witch kind of And so there's a movie, The Devil and Daniel Webster. It's an old movie from the 30s, and the devil is played by a famous director whose name I can't come up with. Anyway, he makes a wonderful devil, and he has this funny little voice, and he laughs. So I kind of listened to him a lot and kind of tried to make my voice low and laugh. So if I can picture somebody else in my head, another character out of a book or a movie, that helps me kind of come up with a different voice for that. And I'm sorry, my camera is out of focus. I don't know what's going on. I'm sorry. I don't know what happened.
Another question, Rosie, we have time for a question. I have a question, and that is, you did a recitation, and you also told a couple of stories, and you played music. So I'm wondering what's the difference in the way you prepare for a recitation as in contrast to telling a traditional tale like the first one that you told?
Well, obviously recitation is memorization. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people are kind of afraid of that, but I'm not. I've learned through theater that your mind can do amazing things. And once you get something up there, it's like a computer. It's stored up there. And once it's there, you can bring it back periodically, like Little Orphan Annie. It had been a while since I did that. And I sat down, I started going through it, and I couldn't remember everything. So I went back and looked at the sheet, but it came back again. And once I refreshed my memory, it was easy to remember it again. And folk tales are great because you can improvise. They're just a basic story line, and only one or two or three characters. And so you picture scenes in your head, like in the Stingy Jack story. I picture the devil sitting under the apple tree and Jack coming. That's the first scene. And you just describe what's going on. And then the second scene is going to the tavern, and you describe what's happened at the tavern. So it's like you have certain things you say the same each time, certain lines. But you're just basically describing what you are picturing in your mind. So, and it can be fun because it can change sometimes because, the first time I told that story, I didn't say anything about the hot toddy. And that came from somebody else. I was telling the story to somebody else, and they were saying, "Oh, I bet the devil would like a hot toddy or something." And then the apple tree, and somebody said, "Oh, I bet he'd like baked apples." So it was kind of, oh yeah, that's a good little idea. I think I'll add that to the story. So, as I'm going along a year from now, maybe we'll have other things added to it, but
Uh-huh.
it's always a work in progress as far as I'm concerned. So
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we have a comment here. I'll read it to you. Rosie, my aunt, now deceased, used to do chicken singing back making the chicken box like you do to whatever song she wanted to, and always had us in gales of laughter. I wish my husband had been able to hear the library chicken song. Do you have it recorded somewhere that he could hear? He loves the library and has about 3,000 books in his home library.
yeah, it is. It's on YouTube. I have a YouTube. It's on YouTube channel. I also have some CDs out. Some storytelling CDs you can buy through CD Baby, and Library Chicken is on one of those CDs. So you could do that, or go to YouTube, or you could listen to it here again.
That's right. And this broadcast will be posted to the Story Center's Facebook page. Well, thank you for joining us tonight, Rosie. Thank you for your excellent performance, and we hope to have you back. And we know you're going to be teaching the performance showcase and masterclass this Thursday. So thank you for that.
Yes.
And thank you all for joining us for tonight's program of Autumn Tales with the Story Center at Mid-Continent Public Library. Have a good evening, everybody.
Thank you, Mark. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.